Let's make our own thick and creamy steakhouse style homemade blue cheese dressing. Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a steakhouse style blue cheese dressing. Yes, that creamy and absolutely delicious blue cheese dressing that we all love so much, but we're going to make it ourselves. That way, we're not getting the bottled stuff. There's no added thickeners, nothing funky put into that dressing, except of course for our blue cheese. So I'm going to be using Castello Dana Blue. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's a Danish blue cheese, but it's a little more mild than, say, a Roquefort or a Gorgonzola. But you can choose to use whichever is your favorite. I like this particular one because it's not too overpowering, but it's still got that delicious classic blue cheese flavor. And it's almost buttery and creamy and mild, and it's perfect. It goes great on anything. Raw veggies, of course, are amazing to be dipping into this dressing, or of course on a crispy cold wedge of iceberg lettuce. So I am super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need a mason jar. I'm using a 32-ounce wide mouth mason jar, and I'm making this recipe based on the size of that mason jar. So we're going to be adding equal parts of sour cream, mayonnaise, and buttermilk to that jar, which are going to equal to about 1 1/3 cups of each of these three ingredients, in case you don't have a mason jar that size. Then we're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and I'm going to be using a wedge which has 4.4 ounces of blue cheese. As I said earlier, I'm using Castello Dana Blue, I think is how it's pronounced. It's a Danish blue cheese, but you can choose whatever blue cheese you like best. I do recommend buying it in wedge or block form and crumbling it yourself. I always feel that we get a better quality cheese that way. And you'll also need a knife, some measuring spoons. I'm using a garlic press, but of course you can just mince it up with a knife, and 3 spoons, one of which should be larger, such as a serving spoon. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your garlic press, or of course, as I said, you can just mince your garlic with a knife. You're just going to peel a couple cloves of garlic, and you're going to mince that garlic well, and we're going to set that aside. Then we're just going to open up our mason jar, and we're really going to eyeball this. We're going to add our ingredients to fill our mason jar about 1/3 of the way. In other words, we're going to create one layer that will fill our jar about 1/3 of the way. We're starting with our sour cream, and then once we get that layer of sour cream in, we're going to build on top of that. So notice I'm not measuring at all. Of course you could if you wanted to, but I just eyeball it. I just fill about 1/3 of the way with my sour cream, and then I'm just going to come in and create another layer on top of that, but this time I'm going to be using my mayonnaise. And again, I grabbed another clean spoon, and I'm creating my second layer of mayonnaise. I'm just kind of using my spoon to kind of level that out a bit, because these ingredients, of course, are thick. So I like to start with my thick ingredients first, sour cream, then mayonnaise. And you see I'm about 2/3 up. It doesn't have to be exact. Then I'm going to add my buttermilk, and I'm going to pour that in to fill another 1/3. But I'm going to leave just a little bit of room at the top so that I can add my seasonings and of course our delicious blue cheese. So now we add 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and remember those 2 garlic cloves that we minced? Well, now we'll add those in, along with 1 tablespoon of white vinegar.
This creates an incredible balance to our dressing. And of course, the star of the show. You want to grab your wedge. You want to make sure you crumble it into pieces. You can use a knife for this, or you can crumble it by hand. And then we're going to add this flavorful, amazing cheese, which you're going to think is not going to fit, but it will fit into our mason jar. So you just start adding the cheese and then use a large spoon, such as a serving spoon, to help you incorporate that cheese and just blend it into the mixture, and it will fit. I'm telling you, it's all going to go in and it's going to flavor our delicious blue cheese dressing. You're going to absolutely love it. So yes, it looks like it doesn't fit, but I'm telling you, with a little bit of patience, you're just going to use your large spoon to get all the way down the sides. You want to make sure that you're going to scrape the sides well, because you do want to make sure you're mixing all those different layers. You want to incorporate the sour cream, the mayonnaise, the buttermilk, and of course at the same time you're incorporating those beautiful chunks of blue cheese without breaking them up. We do want our blue cheese dressing nice and chunky, but you definitely want to scrape down those sides, make sure that all those seasonings get well incorporated, that touch of vinegar and that sour cream, mayonnaise, and buttermilk will come together to make something absolutely phenomenal. This blue cheese dressing, I didn't do too bad, I only spilled a touch, is absolutely thick and creamy. Look at how the spoon stands up in this mixture. It is super thick, and I left a little drip on the side so you can see how slowly that is going to run down. I'm going to prepare my veggies to sample this delicious homemade blue cheese dressing. And while I grabbed my carrots and I sliced my celery, my touch of dressing, that drip, it's still there. Maybe just a little lower, but it's still there. It's that thick and creamy and full of chunky goodness. Wow, I cannot wait to try it. I'm going very classic with some carrot sticks and some celery, which are the perfect vessel, in my opinion, for this creamy steakhouse style homemade blue cheese dressing. I'm going to start with a carrot first. I just cannot wait to taste this. I know it's going to be absolutely yummy. Look at that thick, creamy goodness. It looks so amazing. I cannot wait to take a bite, and it just sticks onto the carrot. Amazing, super crunchy, of course, and that combination of that crunchy veggie and that creamy dressing with that chunk of blue cheese is so tasty. The problem is not eating the whole jar myself. It is that good. I'm just gonna go in for another bite. Absolutely delicious. And of course, celery is almost made for dressing because it's got a built-in scoop, and I can grab plenty of chunks of blue cheese. How good does that look? Wow, this stuff is so amazingly delicious. I'm just giving myself a chance to finish chewing my carrot. So good, so crunchy and creamy. I absolutely love that combination of flavors. And yes, I highly suggest you serving yourself some on a plate so you can double dip and triple dip and quadruple dip. You're gonna want more. And I'm not shy. I'm gonna have a little bit more because I am gonna eat all of my veggies dipped in this absolutely delicious, creamy steakhouse style homemade blue cheese dressing, which you saw was super easy to put together and is absolutely delicious. No funny stuff in it. So, so good.
So didn't I tell you this was going to be creamy and absolutely delicious? You can tell by the consistency of this dressing. It's so perfect. And I'm telling you, I can't get enough. I actually have to pace myself when I have a bottle of this in my fridge because it's so good. I want to eat raw veggies and salad every day, all the time, because it's so tasty. But I'm telling you, you saw how easy it was to put together. It's a incredible reward, but very little effort, and it's super yummy and much, much better than buying the jarred stuff at the supermarket. So trust me when I tell you, you're really gonna love this. Nah, better yet, don't trust me. You're going to have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like it, to write me a sweet comment, to share it with your friends. I love when you do that, so thank you so much. Sharing my videos really helps my channel grow, so I really appreciate when you do that. And of course, if you haven't subscribed here on YouTube, stop what you're doing right now, go over, subscribe, hit the little notification bell so that you get notified every time I put up a new recipe video, which I do all of the time. And there are hundreds of recipe videos already up on my channel. Just explore by playlist, different categories. You'll find other dressings. You'll find all kinds of things, main dishes, side dishes, desserts, anything you can think of. You're going to find it there. Breads, of course, would be amazing. A nice crusty bread to dip in this dressing. Idea. Anyway, there's lots to explore. And of course, if you're not following me on social media, be sure to follow Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on X, Snapchat, and on TikTok. And I love hearing from you. So if you ever have a question about any of my videos, please reach out. You can message me. Usually it's best through Facebook and Instagram, and I do my best to answer all messages. And of course, you can write a comment right on YouTube. And I also do my best to answer absolutely every comment. So thank you so much for doing that. I love hearing from you. And once again, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next time.
Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.